And he hit me up like, who are you? And prove you're not a cop and all this shit,
He hit you with the prove you're not a cop.
Yeah. And what I didn't know at the time is that this started a feud between the two owners of Priority. I don't think I've ever said this on record. I may have, but I don't think so.
What was your first meeting with P? How did that come about? Like, how did you go and commandeer him and get his attention to come to Priority?
It happened in the parking lot at Music People. So he was always there. He had a trunk full of CDs and selling them to who he could, trying to get it to the mom and pop as they're walking in before they go in and buy it from you.
Hustling.
Hustling the hustler, right in their parking lot.
That's funny. So you shortstop it.
And he hit me up like, who are you? And prove you're not a cop and all this shit,
He hit you with the prove you're not a cop.
After a few minutes of conversation, we just kind of kept building, and then I kept seeing it, and then he'd be like, all right, this is dropping next week, and here's a little chart, and I'd keep an eye on it, and he kept coming through on everything he said. So took that back to the boss, and what I didn't know at the time is that this started a feud between the two owners of Priority. I don't think I've ever said this on record. I may have, but I don't think so. So while I was bringing these labels back to Priority and saying we need to sign them, Mark went to his partner Brian and said, hey man, I know you do A&R and promotion, I do sales, but my sales guy Dave is finding all these artists as talent that are doing impressive numbers independently, and we want to start signing them. And apparently Brian said, no, stay in your lane. And I didn't know this until 15 years later, kind of thing.
Wow.
And it definitely had an impact on my time at Priority, not understanding why I was having this friction with the other half of the company.
Got you.
So so he came back to me after presenting No Limit and JT. And it was JT first and then No Limit, but he came back to me and said, talk to Brian, it's a go. So he lied to me, told me it was all approved by his partner.
Wow.
Now, in the regular world, if someone makes that kind of a mistake or fudges the truth, whatever you want to say, and it ends up making you millions, you think people would be happy, like, hey man, thanks for not listening to me.
Right.
I appreciate you bullshitting me with your partner, and
right.
But the fact is that it was never pleasant.
Wow.
So, and I never understood it. I made this dude put 150 million in his pocket personally, just on the sale, beside all the revenue that was generated. It was just always like friction.
And you said that's Brian, or?
That's Brian.
Really?
Yeah. So I've never had a good relationship with Brian Turner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how many years were you at Priority?
10.
Wow. Was it always tumultuous, or was it just kind of?
Yeah.
Really?
But Mark and Brian were very different. Brian's he's a conservative Canadian, and Mark's a Italian Sicilian hothead.
Yeah.
And I fall more into the hothead side of things than the conservative Canadian side of things. So I think he just kind of put us in the same package together. And then when he found out that we were doing shit behind his back that I wasn't aware of, like I said, I didn't know about that until 2005.
What did he think that you were doing behind his back?
Well, he instructed his partner to say no to me signing labels.
Oh, okay.
And I was signing them without him knowing, but I didn't know I was doing it quietly.
Okay. So what did was he not watching the books or watching the budget? Just like,
right. That's another question, right? That presents a whole nother series of questions. I don't know how that got
how
off.
are you not knowing that?
I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, especially once it gets rolling, like he clearly knows you signed No Limit.
Right.
Like a year into it,
right.
Like you signed No Limit.
Well, for sure. And at that point, like it's doing very well, and you would think that he'd gotten over whatever the ego, whatever the ego issue was.
Maybe because it wasn't his idea.
But then I was a 4-person department doing 300 million in billing, and he had 250 people that were struggling.
Right.
Because if you really look at Priority Records and you take away NWA, you take away affiliates, Mac 10, Dub C, you take away all the not what am I trying to say? All the tentacles that
Right.
came out of that.
Right.
Name an artist that Priority broke. Name one that wasn't a distributed label.
Yeah.
You know, because all the hot shit was distributed label. We had Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I signed Rockets.
Yeah.
We had Mos Def, Talib. We had a lot of hot shit, all distributed label stuff.
Mm-hmm.
On Priority Records.
You guys had some Wu-Tang albums too, right?
Yeah, distributed label.
Matter of fact, did you guys have a Black Market from Sacramento?
Yeah,
I'm from Sacramento.
I signed Lynch and Black Market. That's a whole nother
with Cedric
crazy ass story.
I'm home court, standing trial. Why ain't I see you round back when I was down? Karma's on the way. What goes around comes around, karma's on the way. There's nothing you could do now, you gotta pay.